I mean, I know. Trust me, I
Call the meeting order. Roll call, please.
Jane Pope. Present. Aaron Cook. Here. Bill Bruner. Here. Mike Lawrence. Here. Darryl Holcraft. Here. Leslie Gotov. Here. Mel Davis. Here. Mayor Carr. Here. And myself.
Any announcements?
Yeah, not really so much an announcement as a question. Someone called me about the rental Agner Hall, and they want to do some stuff outside, like in the
Fairground.
shelter and stuff. Is that first come, first served like other parks? Did they?
Yeah.
It is? Okay. That was all.
Okay, approved minutes of previous meeting. Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Committee reports. New business, Paul Brewer, Greater Cincinnati, NEDA Walk, 4th Annual.
Thank you for your time. What I'm asking for is for use of the Dearborn Trail. I've contacted the Conservancy District and also the Ivy Tech, and they have given tentative approval for September 6th. It's a Saturday, and the walk would start, well, we would need it from about 7 to noon, but the walk is a 5K, and we do a loop starting there at the, just beyond the clock tower. So what we're asking for is the use of the parking garage for those that are participating and helping. I'm sorry?
Date?
September 6th.
Anything on board?
Motion to approve.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against?
Thank you.
Sandy Carly, Paul's, waive fees for Paul's Rummy Sale at Agner Hall, April 7th, 13th, and November 3rd to 9th.
Hi.
How you saying?
Fine, thank you. Just wanted to talk to you about having the fees waived, like you said, for the 2 upcoming rummage sales that we have for the year 2014. And the first one is next month, 7 to 13, and then the second one in the fall is November 3rd to the 9th.
Anything on board?
The dates are available, Jackie.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we waive the fees for Agner Hall for those 2 occasions.
For a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Starting here, Alzheimer's Group, Southeast Indiana, asking for the use of the trail for a walk Saturday, September 13th, beginning at 9 a.m. Nobody's not here? Okay. Pat Crowder, Winter Wonderland Ice Rink Report.
As you all are aware, the ice rink was closed and everything's been disassembled and the space returned to the state that it was in when we set up the rink, so everything should be in compliance. And if there are any issues, please let us know. This basically, our numbers, like everything else, we were affected by the weather this year. Our attendance numbers, you can see there, 9,429. We're down about 3,000 from last year. You see the residents were 5,177 and the non-residents, 4,252. This year, weather was certainly a significant factor. We had 2 days when we had some malfunction with the chiller. 3 days when we closed just because it was absolutely way too cold. Several days when we tried to open, we gave it a try thinking people might come, and just nobody came. Usually when it starts getting into below 30, our attendance starts going down. And we even had some of those days, even our biggest times are during the school break at Christmas, and we had several bad days then. So that really impacted our attendance. We employed 25 high school and college students and a manager and assistant manager, so that was all money that was coming back into the local economy. And below, I've listed all our streams of income, the skate rentals. The trainer rentals, this year we bought some very nice trainers that people could rent for a very nominal fee to help them learn to skate. Those were extremely successful. Actually, the rentals paid for themselves, and these trainers will probably last us another, 5-6 years, Dee.
About 10 years, I said we get.
Yeah, they're very sturdy, so we should get a lot of years out of those, and so that was a good investment. You see, we sold some passes. This year, Dee instituted birthday parties, which we hadn't done before. Birthday parties had kind of been an issue in that people would all of a sudden decide they were coming in for a birthday party, take over a table, bring in food from McDonald's and who knows wherever, and just leave an absolute mess. We started restricting them. We said, if you're going to have a birthday party, you need to let us know, and we'll reserve a table for you, and we'll give you a package where you can either get hot dogs or pizza and a drink for each kid, plus skate rental. Dee put together a real reasonable package. Let them bring in their own cake, and now we have fewer messes. We don't have all the packaging from the fast food companies, and we're able to kind of schedule these things so we don't get 4 birthday parties at the same time. So next year, we're probably going to promote that a little better. We had 1 rink rental, and you see our income from concessions this year. That was down to, once again, fewer people, fewer concessions sold. You can see our expenses down below. Once again, the major expense being the ice guards. Once again, that's money going into the pockets, though, of our high school and our college students. Some payroll expenses, miscellaneous supplies. The biggest bulk of the miscellaneous supplies were what it cost us to buy the skate trainers, and then the concession supplies. So you can see the difference that we have between income and expenses was $18,188, and that is covered by the funds from that remain from your allotment to the ice rink. Are there any questions about the rink or the operations?
What was the balance left in your account now after everything's been paid?
I would have to check that, because I think,
Should be a part of the report.
yes, it should, and I'm sorry, I don't have it here today. It was 110 is what the line item is, okay? And the rink contract was 78, I believe. So it would have been about 22. So this covers, that was given to us in that.
22 minus the 18, we're looking at like maybe 4,000 left,
Actually, it's 32.
32.
32 minus the 18,188. So that would be the difference.
So can you get me a total balance?
Sure, not a problem.
And then we'll roll that over. Can we do that in our to Leslie, or how do we do that?
Don't believe it is set up for non-recurring.
So we'll just start fresh with her again, what we budgeted.
Yeah.
Now, how would you like us to handle that? Because the way that it has always been done is the remainder that was left in the line item was given to us as a check. So we still have that remainder in our Main Street Winter Wonderland account. Do you want it returned, or how would you like it handled, or retained for next year? And I can give you the exact amount of money that we would have retained.
I don't see a problem with rolling it over. It was actually transferred to them, right?
Yeah. And we can,
You can take that into account when you do the budget.
but I was gonna say, that money can be, anything that's left, we can make a note in the minutes or something, that it's gonna roll to the next year.
Okay.
Yeah, shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, I can provide that exact number for you. Okay, I Guess I wasn't thinking.
That plus the bottom line.
The bottom line on the
Would be
ice rink?
Bottom line, unless you already have some money in that account that you didn't use.
Well, that account also has money from Winter Wonderland money that comes from the foundation grant. So there's a couple different monies that are placed in that overall account.
Can you give us a report on that too?
On the overall account? Sure, not a problem.
Thank you, Pat.
You're welcome.
Good job this year.
Thank you. And I just want to say Dee did a very, very good job. We had some difficult circumstances with weather, and as always, she did a very good job, and as did the ice carts. Thank you.
Aaron Cook, Young Professionals, 5K.
That, okay.
I'll help out. The young professionals come forward to ask for permission for the use of the trail, the walk-in bike trail, on May 17th, Saturday. It's our third annual 5K.
Would you like to, fees waive for the parking garage as well?
Yes, for the past 2 years, the city has granted us the parking garage and also a $500 sponsorship towards the funds that we raise.
Any board? Entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion that we let them use the walking trail and we put fees for the parking garage on what date?
May 17th, it's Saturday.
May 17, 2014.
Is everybody familiar with the young professionals at all?
Get different representatives before, excuse me.
Yeah, we've raised over $15,000 towards scholarships so far.
Great.
And Amanda Eubank is,
She's part of the board.
yeah, and there was a guy too, they've been here following.
We multiplied.
What did you say?
We multiplied.
Oh, I'll remember that, okay.
How would a college student apply for a scholarship through your?
They sit at all three high schools. As far as information, we send out a packet, then they apply. But we also sponsor the Maverick program, which I know Mr. Waltz, who was here before we started today, won our program. He won, I believe, a total of $2,500 last year for his business plan.
Yes, for $500.
$500 sponsorship.
Jane, you put that in your motion?
Plus the $500 sponsorship.
Here, second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Ayes have it.
Thank you much.
Okay, review and discuss claims, board approval.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion adjournment.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Board orders 5 minutes.
I gave him one of those red lines for, they're not red.
Hey,
Member Donnie Bryant. Member Aaron Cook. Member Bill Bruner. Member Mario Todd. Mayor Dennis Carr. Sergeant Nick Meyer.
Here.
I almost forgot your first name. Fire Chief Johnny Tremaine.
Here.
EMS Director Bobby Mills.
Here.
Attorney Leslie Votaw.
Here.
Utility Director Mel Davis.
Here.
I already called the mayor and myself.
Any announcements?
Yeah, I just have one question again. When is the deadline to apply for summer help?
Was in the paper.
That's March 28th. March 28th there.
I guess I'll say.
Thank you.
Okay, any more announcements? Approved minutes of the previous meeting? Second. All in favor?
Okay, who made the motion, excuse me?
Aaron?
Okay, who seconded it?
Mario.
Mario, thank you. Okay.
Committee reports, Fire Department Chief John Tremaine.
The only thing I got tonight is you got the run totals for February in front of you. I totaled everything. We went to 2 pages this month. We had a busy month, so totals are up in the right-hand corner. That's all I have.
The Police Department Sergeant.
We had 2 of our guys fighting the Guns and Hoses charity boxing match over the weekend. They both won. So that's all we have. Officer Cochran and Officer Houston.
That was pretty well finished event.
Yeah, it was sold out from what I understand.
Good. EMS Director Bobby Mills.
Mayor, what I'm here to ask for tonight is the approval to spend some money for our heart monitors. We need to upgrade them to 12 lead. As of right now, we can do 3 lead, but with the paramedic course. Also, of course, I mentioned last meeting where they approved it for the basics, but we need to upgrade our MRI heart monitors to 12 lead, which is going to cost us about $3,000 per unit.
How much?
And $3,000 per unit.
How many units you got, Bob?
3. So we're looking close to $12,000 for all 3. And I do have money in my non-reverting and also my medical fund.
Anything aboard?
What we doing with the old one? I'm keeping the old one. We're just upgrading them. Yeah. It costs about $120,000 to replace all 3. So I'm hoping these will last at least 2 hours to go.
I'm so moved to upgrade them. Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Doesn't matter which fund to take it out of? No objection?
Shouldn't.
Okay. All right, thanks.
How's the paramedic training coming?
Pardon me?
The paramedic training,
Yeah,
how's it coming?
it's coming. Well, I can tell you.
Good job, huh?
It's tough.
Thanks for doing it.
All right, thanks.
Building department call, you got something?
Yes, sir. I think I passed it out to all of you. I'm in need to use a professional on a building of ours in town. Just assume leave the building, you got a report there.
Speak up, please. I can't hear you.
I need permission to go ahead and use the budget part. I have it in the budget, and I gave you a report. So y'all, I'd like to get it done as soon as possible.
County board?
West, I'd so move.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. New business, Fire Chief John Tremaine, HR Director Jenny Felix, full-time firefighter clarification.
Thank you, Mayor. The reason that Johnny and I are here tonight is to clarify, for a little clarification as far as the firefighter bid that was up and is now down, and we believe is ready to be awarded. We met, as far as having a work session with the board back in August about this position, and the board decided, and along with Johnny, agreed that this was going to be a firefighter paramedic position, correct? And we were going to go ahead and start posting this in 2014. So in January, we went ahead and posted firefighter paramedic. We did have some people sign the position, however, nobody within the bargaining unit had the paramedic portion. The union approached me and said that they had issues with that posting for two reasons. The first one was that position of firefighter paramedic wasn't in the union contract, but the bigger issue was that there was a employee that has all the certifications that everyone else in the fire department has. Anyone else is a full-time firefighter, except he just doesn't have that paramedic piece. So we met with them, the union. We had several discussions about this. We were finally able to come to an agreement that we were going to go ahead and put the firefighter position up with the paramedic portion not there. However, we were going to require that this new person obtain that paramedic certification. And this is all a portion of our way to progress the fire department. We didn't realize at the time that we should be coming to the board for this until it was brought to our attention. So that's what we're here for tonight, is to let you guys know what was going on and how we came to this. Did you want to add anything?
Nope, you covered it.
Okay.
And Ms. Felix, I'm the one that brought it to her attention because the board approved the hiring of that position, like she said, in August. And I started having employees call me, why has it been changed? And I didn't know anything about it. I'm on the Board of Works. I didn't know if it had to be, the changes approved by the Board of Works, or if anybody can just change it.
And that was an oversight on our part. I mean, I was just as much involved as Jenny was. I would, and I understand everybody's got a right to call you as a Board of Works member, Aaron, but still, I would appreciate, I think anybody else would, if you just forward them back to me or Jenny to answer the question, because that kind of goes around the horn there on us. We haven't been happy.
It's going around the horn when I'm on the Board of Works, and it's being reposted as a different job.
I totally understand that. Totally understand it, and it was our mistake. And once we sat down and talked about it, we realized we should actually come to the board, last meeting.
But you guys are still saying you got somebody ready for that position, but the Board of Works never approved that change yet still.
Well, I guess that's up to the board now to make that decision.
Board?
Just for, brought to my attention, I saw, I called him out, talked to him, just to find out what's going on. You guys, I relay what's going on, so once I heard about it, I figured you guys should contact me, and I did. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Does the board want to change whether it's all nine? We'll change it to let them do what they want?
I don't have a problem with what happened, I understand. I think our concern is we want to move towards paramedics. I think that was pretty clear in the meeting we had. But, unfortunately, to make all parties happy, and us, especially if you have a guy who's got involved. I think it's just a lack of communication on both sides.
Is the board okay with switching?
Yeah, if aren't all the firefighters they're going to be taking paramedic board?
Well, we offered it as a voluntary thing. I do have one that's interested in taking it.
I also had a talk with him, but I'd like to hear your recommendation to him.
We had, do I go into, three people did sign the bid.
4 actually did this last one.
Oh, 4.
Yeah. And one of them met the qualifications of the current firefighters.
Right, one meets the qualifications of the current firefighters, whereas the other 3 do not. And the one that meets the recommendation, or meets the qualification is Brandon Gibbon. He's a firefighter EMT. He's actually a lieutenant also.
There's a hand in the back over there.
Come up and,
Councilman Mike Lawrence, just a question on the appropriation for this. I don't think there's an appropriation for firefighter / EMT. Doesn't that make a difference? We were,
They're just firefighters is the line.
it's firefighter, but I know when we were hired, we were required to take our EMT within the first year, and we all did that. When we were hired, we had to be a firefighter too, as long as we were enrolled in the class of EMT. They required us to have EMT, and we were just following along the same suit.
Really on firefighter's time.
Right. But is that what the union contract says, that you have to have your EMT qualification? Because if not, aren't you going around the union contract of the qualification?
It's all right what you're doing, aren't you?
Well, I think we keep getting hung up on this EMT part. Actually, it's a firefighter. Brandon is trained beyond the firefighter qualification. What's in the union contract? Yeah, I mean, because my understanding on appropriations, if everybody on that board didn't want a fireman / EMT, they wouldn't have to appropriate the money. They could appropriate it for just a fireman. And if it's not in the union contract and maybe somebody else wants to apply that's not an EMT, is that fair to them?
I think you talk about within the city?
Yeah.
I think if the EMT would have wanted it, they would have signed it, right?
Correct, right, within the bargaining unit.
What do you mean?
But like if somebody doesn't have EMT training, can they apply for it?
Anybody can.
I think
They're not required. And it's not going to be put in the job description that they're an EMT also.
Because I have had a volunteer, I'm not going to mention any names, but I had a volunteer fireman call me, and if it would have been that, he would have applied as well, if the EMT part would have been in there as well.
Well, and that's my question. I mean, we had to submit through the bid process with the union. That was the first 5 to 7 days.
5
If
business
nobody signs the bid, and then we would go outside and advertise it. But at this point, we had 4 people sign the bid, so our recommendation is take the most qualified.
So
So did the union sign off on this then, Jenny? They're in agreement, I know you said you met with them.
No, I don't have any kind of agreement with them in writing for this position. But that's how it's written in the contract, is the firefighter. Which was one of their arguments. And they agreed that probably the next time we negotiate, we should add the firefighter slash paramedic in there. So that we can progress in recruiting and say, okay, yes, this is a position that's already been established.
Mr. Boyce, Larry.
My main thing I brought up last year as well is if we do hire another firefighter and the next administration doesn't want a full-time chief, goes back to part-time chief, then we have 7 full-time firefighters. Once Johnny falls back, what are we going to do with the extra firefighter in a year and a half? Fire him or?
That's up to them. That's who you recommend?
Yes.
Yes. What's more than one?
I would so move based on appropriations for the money.
Second? All in favor? All against? Roll call, please.
Mario,
Yes.
Aaron.
No.
Bill.
Yes.
Donnie.
Yes.
3 yeses.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mario's clear armor estimate for city court.
Your Honor, I'd like to table that until we get the judge here to explain.
Mike Clark bid open for Little Hill Park entrance sign rehab project.
Yes, I believe Jackie's got quotes that we're trying to do.
I only have one quote for the sign rehab project, and that's from Signorama. And the amount is $1,468.
If we could, I'd like to go ahead and see an award tonight pending.
Speak up, please.
Pending the staff review to make sure that it is a qualified bid.
I would so move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Against? Okay, Mike Clark bid opening for geotech material testing, inspection, industrial hygiene.
That's me too.
Consulting engineering service.
Put his name. Just a second. I have 3 things. Suzanne, do you have one of these sheets? Would you pass that down to Suzanne? Would you write on there for me, please? The first one is from Civil Solutions Associates.
Jack, I think these were probably just checking for 4 items, be the bid form, price sheet, conflict, nepotism.
Well, they've got conflict, E-Verify, conflict of interest and nepotism, E-Verify, a price sheet. That's all on here.
Is there a bid form also?
I'm looking.
Which is part of the price sheet?
A bunch of numbers. I've got that, but there wasn't, I've got that.
Okay, there should be a price sheet.
Yeah, I've got a couple of them. So it looks like everything's here. Okay.
Price sheet, so
Yeah.
have it.
And the conflict of interest. Yeah, here, Mario, thank you. I saw that sheet and I thought, okay, what's that doing? The next one is Terracon.
What was the bid?
There's a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh, okay.
Mike's gonna have to look at it, right, Mike?
Yeah, we're gonna have to go through it. There's about
There's no way.
25
I
or
can show
30
you all
items
about
that
it.
we'll have to take it under advisement.
There's not like one price. Sorry. Okay, Terracon has the bid form. See, Donnie, they've got this sheet, and that sheet with prices, and part of another one. So, I know nothing about conflict of interest. Verify. Yeah, it looks like this one has everything that we need to.
Mike, can we ask you to get us a copy of the...
Yeah, you'll have a copy of everything, a full report and summary, and then we'll bring it up at the next meeting with that information in front of each other.
I know, I just was saying it before you could. This is from Cardno ATC. Okay, they have their bid form and their price sheets and conflict of interest and nepotism. Verify. Yeah, this one looks good too, that they have all the stuff that we required.
Mike, how was you gonna award that on the total bid price?
Well, there is no total. This is units for different services provided, and I'll go through, and what I'll do, Donnie, is we've got 3 complete bids. I'll go through and basically highlight the best prices in each one of them, and I'll put a summary together and put that information in front of each one of you, and then at the next meeting, and there again, you'll have the weekend to review it, and at the next meeting, you'll be able to award one way or the other.
Oh, that's all on that.
So we got,
Next is carpet and floor
wait a
plan.
minute,
I'm sorry.
need a motion,
Oh,
do which one this one? Bids?
Make a motion, let staff review the 3 bids and get them in our next packet.
Okay, and there again, this is the review of those. We asked for a complete quote from 3
I think that was a
different...
motion for the other.
Oh, from the other
For
one?
geotechnical.
Oh, okay.
Sorry
about that.
Get it back, the information to us for the next meeting.
Your second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Aye. Okay, now, Mike.
Okay, yeah, in front of you, you've got a quote request with the price information down from 3 different vendors. One chose not to submit. One only gave a partial submittal. And we had one that quoted everything that we asked for. And you can see the pricing. My recommendation would be to go with the one that quoted all items.
Anything, board? Okay, motion?
I'd so move to go with Mike's recommendation, affordable janitorial.
Sorry? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Ayes have it. Review and discuss claims for board approval.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Motion adjourned? Second? All in favor? Aye. To the board, 5 minutes.
Take it off.
But anyway, let me, I'll look and see what their prices are, and we'll check the others out.
That's gonna have There's quite a few, and there's some people that couldn't make it because we were stuck in the I think we have another meeting next, not this week, next week, so if you want to let you know when it's going to happen. There'll be a better Okay, beautiful. We appreciate it. Thanks.
Coming in from outside, we need to take this down I'm sure I'll be next week. All talking about how we can train people on high-tech things. There's one company where also doing stuff like the software.
the stuff to the universities, to teachers to all these jobs.
In your work, which is from you.
Utility Commission together. Roll call, please.
Jane Poe. Present. Aaron Cook.
Here.
Bill Bruder. Mike Lawrence.
Here.
J.R. Holcraft. Leslie Votaw. Mel Davis.
Here.
Mayor Carr.
Here.
And myself.
Any announcements? Hearing none, approved minutes of previous meeting. Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Committee reports.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm pleased to report with all the bad weather, we haven't had any weather-related electrical outages. And then in the electric department, we're waiting until the weather breaks just a little bit more to start installing a couple of poles. On the water side, we're continuing the domestic connections on the domestic water line and Industrial Drive. And the high-pressure main, again, after the weather, they're making progress when they get to work. The force main right now is waiting on the high water to go down so they can do some more testing on that. That completes my report.
Okay, new business, Mel, request for change order 2, high pressure water main.
Yes, sir. In your packet, you have a request for change order number 2, and you're probably wondering where number 1 was. Number 1 is still under dispute. Their request number 1 is still under dispute. However, this one isn't. It's to, on that high pressure main, between Ivy Tech and Crown Coach, there is a pressure reducing pit and some valving there that we had to use when that line was being used for a domestic line also. So we'd like to take that out, and it wasn't on the prints. And then we have to realign the water main tie-in along Reservoir Drive. So the request from the contractor to do that work is $2,909.97.
Anything, board? Entertain a motion.
Motion to change order number 2.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Old business?
No old business, Your Honor.
Okay, review, discuss claims for board approval.
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion adjourned? Second? All in favor?
United States of America, to the world which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Member Jane Poe.
Present.
Aaron Cook.
Here.
Bill Bruder.
Here.
Mike Lawrence.
Here.
J.R. Holcraft.
Here.
Sergeant Nick Meyer.
Here.
Fire Chief Johnny Tremaine.
Here.
EMS Director Rodney Mills.
Here.
Attorney Leslie Votaw.
Here.
Utility Director Mel Davis. Mayor, that's okay, Mayor Dennis Carr, and myself.
Any announcements? Approved minutes of previous meeting.
I got a correction, Your Honor. Under council, page 2, down to the section where it says number 2, EV sites, next to the last line, it says, after a meeting on January 22nd of this year, we now have a non-credited levy. EB explained what that means and went on to say what will need to be done at a cost of $14 to $15 million. We still haven't accredited levy. We haven't been non-credited yet, and I don't recall him saying we are non-credited at this point, did he?
We're in the process.
But we do have an accredited levy as of today.
Yeah, the process is commenced.
to non-credit us?
Yes.
But we're gonna not allow that to happen, right?
Well, that is their plan. Again, Mr. Seymour might be able to address it a little better.
Are we accredited still, Paul? The way I understood it, we were.
There's going to be a process that's going to take place, and we're going to work our best over there to do what we need to do for this community. And at the last meeting, I think you made a strong commitment to do that. I believe right now we are accredited because nobody, I mean, when somebody comes and buys one of my houses right now, they do not have to buy flood insurance, and the answer always comes up, do you live in a flood zone? And for the last 3-4 years I've been selling houses, the answer to that has been no. But we are committed to this project.
As of today, we are accredited.
Yeah, I'll be closing on a house here real shortly, and I'm sure the answer's going to be the same. Okay.
Gene. Okay, the approval?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with the correction.
Your second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All against? Committee reports. Street tallies and curbs, Aaron Cook.
No report.
Finance, Gail Holcraft.
In the back.
Fire Department, Bill Bruner.
No report.
Police Chief.
No report.
Fire Chief John Tremaine.
Nothing other than everybody should have run totals for February in front of them.
EMS Director Bobby Mills.
Just to inform council, we are going to upgrade our fire monitors to a 12 lead. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Bobby. New business. That's the VOTOL resolution, final agreement, escrow agreement.
You did have in your packets, which we were able to make sure they were in your packets by Thursday. However, the agreements that were included in your packets have some changes to them. I did pass out copies of those when I got here today. Attorney Lisa Lane and Carl Gailey are also here to address these agreements. But the second handout that I gave you is a clean copy. But if you would like to go through the changes, they were not substantive changes. They were changes made to the agreement by the escrow agent, which is US Bank. So I did email all of you something on Friday, which had some changes, but there were further changes from the ones I sent you on Friday. So in my email, I did ask for the approval from you all to go through with these. And if there are some semantics that need to be changed, like I said, the meat of it is not going to be changed. The resolution that was also included with in your packet necessarily did change. The major change was their bond counsel wanted that the agreement to be with a newly formed Lawrenceburg High School Building Corporation instead of the Lawrenceburg Community School Corporation. So most of the changes in the new agreements reflect changes. Anywhere where it said school corporation, it says building corporation. But I did give you a copy that had the ones that was redlined, or they're not red, but redlined, and so I guess I just need some guidance from the board on how you want to go through with this. I do know that they're on a timeline. That's the reason I emailed all of you everything on Friday in hopes that we could get this passed tonight.
I have a question, just glancing through it. There's a lot of changes. Is it necessary that we involve our construction manager so much in this project versus just like once a quarter getting a report of what's been done for for the use of that money for review?
One of the things that is incorporated in here, Mike, is that if he's okay with it, and doesn't have to go back to Mr. Gilly with the information, it's deemed approved.
I see that.
So that will save, as long as he's good with it, obviously, if he's not good with it, then, that can be brought up. But, we did think that someone from our, from the city should be involved as far as, just looking over the project. And the school hasn't been adverse to that, so.
We don't do that kind of stuff on the 10 county project, 10 county project, do we? It's just they come back quarterly with the report.
Correct.
Only with their sponsor through.
Yeah, the entity, it has to come back every quarter. But in the same token, when those claims come through, when they ask for a disbursement of the 10 county grant, if it is periodic, then it is something that goes from you already. I mean, the claim, it's part of the claim process.
Okay.
But seeing it in the claim process is a lot different than evaluating the situation on site. I mean, we see claims on these accounts payable now bi-weekly that so much money is going into the event center, but I couldn't tell you what they did with that money that they put into the event center.
But Mario could, I mean, that's the reason with this magnitude, we're looking at a $13 million project, so.
And if Mike doesn't want me to go over them.
To make sure the project's getting done, so it's money.
Approve the rate checks,
Yes.
then they won't come back.
No, they won't.
They won't come back.
No, it'll be a reporting process through,
Okay, all right.
Mr. Todd.
Leslie, what was Jackie's question?
It is not a claim process. The reason I was bringing that out as far as the grant program was just to state, there is a checks and balances there. When those grants are asked for, or whatever.
I brought up, I believe at the last meeting, because Mr. Gailey contacted me. My only concern was that the State Board of Accounts is happy with how the process is running. I think he was going to talk with the State Board of Accounts.
Yeah, I'm happy to speak to that if you want me to.
I'm Lisa Laner, and I'm legal counsel to the school corporation. The two instruments that you have in front of you pertain to the grant funds only. They do not deal with any loan. So the city would make a $4 million grant to the Lawrenceburg High School Building Corporation. This was on the advice of the school's bond counsel. Under Indiana law, a school corporation cannot borrow much money. Indiana has a special statute called the Indiana School Building Corporation Statute, where schools will set up a separate nonprofit building corporation, which then is able to borrow funds and construct projects, and then turn the project, once completed, back over to the school corporation. So that's why we have these two different entities here, and that's why the high school building corporation actually would receive these grant funds. The gym project would be a project of the school building corporation. It has bid out the project. It will have contracts with all these contractors. Ultimately, once funds are dispersed from the escrow agent, the building corporation then would turn around and pay all of those contractors. So there really is no need for a claims process from the city. The city would simply take the $4 million in grant funds, pay it over to the escrow agent who would hold those funds, and then disbursements would be made. So that really the only action taken by the city is on that initial $4 million grant. Now, of course, if the city wants its city construction manager to review progress,
during the course of the use of those grant funds, that's fine, and that's built into the documents that you have in front of you, too. So in terms to your question, the State Board of Accounts does not require claims to be approved by the city because the city is not paying the claims. The building corporation is.
And have you reviewed this final draft, I guess, of the plan here?
Yeah, actually, I prepared these two drafts. And the reason these changes have occurred at this time is due to the involvement of U.S. Bank as escrow agent. The bank wanted to add some language in here so that it was clear as to what its instructions were with respect to the grant funds.
And they were very helpful.
Yeah, they were.
Clarify.
Mhm.
I think will help Mr. Todd and what he needs to, spells out more what he needs to do as well.
And there's one question I have, and maybe I should have caught it before, but what the $4 million and the loan would be for 8.99, I think. Wasn't the school going to put in $1 million out of the training day?
Right, there isn't a total project cost, the overall cost, that there's $1 million that goes for like the CM, the architectural fees.
Yes, because that's outside of the money that we're borrowing, so therefore there is still money that the corporation's paying when you look at the overall cost of the project, and that would be going towards the construction manager's cost, the architectural's cost, and fees.
Otherwise, it's going to be $15 million.
Overall, if you're factoring everything, hard and soft costs altogether.
I just wanted to clarify that the AstroTurf football field is not part of this project.
That is correct, yes. None of the money that's used here, the $4 million grant money and the $8.99 million will be put towards the multipurpose field turf. That is correct.
Yeah, in fact, if you look at the definitive agreement in paragraph 1.2, page 1, it specifically states that.
It's about halfway through your document. If you go back, and it's page 1 of the definitive agreement, so go back about halfway through your document.
What about the $1 million rainy day fund? Is it coming out of that?
Not towards in this project. It will not be related anything towards this project, so it would have to be a separate project that we would look at using rainy day funds, as I've shared with council before, that it is still a project that we will be considering potentially a year from now.
$1 million is strictly for the gymnasium.
This project,
I just
yes.
want to make sure that the
Correct.
school was putting in $1 million into the school gymnasium project.
Yes, that is correct. It would be towards the, like I said, the construction manager costs, the architectural costs and fees.
That might be something that needs to be spelled out. That was not something, that's not something that's really, that's incorporated yet.
It's in the overall, part of everything that we've had to approve as a school corporation when we've had to be publicly showing all the funds that are being expended, it's been shown by UNBAL and by our bond counsel. That's outlining all the fees and monies in our resolutions. So we have resolutions on file that we can even share showing the costs that are being shared by everybody, including the school corporation.
And everybody did get a copy of the letter from the insurance company forwarded to
Mr. Gilley, the school corporation is in support of the final versions of these two, the escrow agreement and definitive agreement.
Yes, we've been working together on the drafts. I will share, the language that you may want to refer to, because there is in the definitive agreement towards the back on page 8, it does reference the financing of the loan money back there, towards the back of the...
Has not been.
No.
the process of that code. And UNBAL has actually been in those conversations as well.
Lastly, I didn't receive a copy of the letter from the insurance company. It wasn't in the package.
Did you make a PDF so I can open it if I do go in there?
I believe so. Because
It was an attachment to an email that we forwarded.
So with the discussion here on the loan part, is there a loan committee meeting will be coming up very shortly, or?
Yeah, actually, Mr. Hedden, is working on an agreement, for the revolving loan fund, and actually council, whatever, however. I did tell him to go ahead and put it in the revolving loan fund, right?
Yes.
Who's the chair of that? That's just the mayor is the chair, right? They're working on an agreement for them to help us. And those, documents, I think were given to Mr. Hedden on this past Friday. I wasn't there at the meeting, but I think he got, copies of all the loan files, so.
Yeah, he did get them, I'm sorry. Something else.
It's just our request that we try to use the same process for the loan amount as with the grant amount.
Right.
For the oversight, right, the oversight and distribution of it.
Leslie, what process needs to occur within the city to do the loan? Is there a committee that would need to meet next? Okay. You know when their next meeting is scheduled?
We don't have it scheduled. We did do an organizational meeting, so it's just a matter of scheduling one.
Okay.
But no, we don't have a date right now.
I was just saying, because we probably need to email him and see when would be available for a meeting. We just, not like we sit here and say, okay, they're not available, and right there with him.
More questions?
So we're dealing with the city, U.S. Bank in its different departments, and then, of course, the School Building Corporation. So, you know, it's possible that U.S. Bank might come back and want to change small parts of the wording here. And that's why, Leslie, I was thinking if the council could authorize an individual to execute these documents, if they meet with the council's approval, once everything is finalized, then we wouldn't have to come back to a future meeting for that purpose.
And I did text that to them in the email.
Okay.
I sent to them on Friday. It just makes sense. I mean, like I said though, what they did add, just cleaned it up and you know, there was nothing in there that was substantive. It was all.
No, it seemed more ministerial.
I don't want to approve anything without reading. So, sorry.
You do have a version that has underlined the new edits. So there aren't that many edits.
Saying that they could want to make changes from what this document is, correct?
It's possible that they could, but what I'm
The final version.
what I'm potentially, I don't know that there are going to be any changes at all. My hope is that there isn't, because frankly, we're really anxious to get this completed. But we'd like to be prepared in case the bank does want to change one line of the agreement. We'd hate to have to come back, wait for another 2 weeks and come back at an additional meeting just because one line has been added.
Would there be a chance, as Lisa's requested, that if someone could be representative, could then that person potentially that's appointed, maybe then Mr. Lawrence could be that person
I don't want to make that decision for everybody else. I think everybody sitting on this board agreed to it. mean, I don't wanna make that decision for them, I don't want somebody to read it and make that decision.
What if one person gets it and disperses it to everybody?
Yeah, because I don't see them changing it much anymore. You have copies that you have, like they weren't in your packets for Thursday. The ones that have all the changes that we know of right now, you have copies of right now.
Well, can it be legally, can you approve what's here, and then if there is a correction, can it be done by email, by majority approval, just like at a meeting, or is that?
I could talk to each one of you separately.
I mean, is that legal though? I thought you had to be in a
As long as it's not a
public meeting to take a
substantive
vote.
change, if it's not a substantive change, where, it's 5 million instead of 4, you know what I mean? If it's not a substantive change, I don't think that's a big deal. I mean, we do contracts all the time that, you change. That's part of the process when you give it to another attorney. Between Lisa and I, we went back and forth, and then when she had to deal with the U.S. Bank's attorney, this is what we have right now.
It's changed right here.
But I would have no problem, and I have sent everything as I have received in the last 2 weeks.
I mean, I want to get it on Zoom.
I think that's a good idea, Mike, that you can contact us by email and
Well,
we can,
and that's great, wonderful, as long as it can legally be done.
yes, as long as
Some kind of state statute says it can be done, I guess.
we wouldn't have to have a call meeting.
I mean, as long as it can be done, I'm fine, because it's still majority, just as a meeting, as long as it can be.
Well, would the mayor be signing the agreements on behalf of the city?
But I think the council ought to have input wherever, if it gets changed, I think it should come back to the board. I think you should have a meeting doing it public.
Or we just have to have a special meeting. But, like I said,
With 48 hours notice, we could call a special meeting.
Right. But it should be done in public meeting.
Why don't you just email us the final copy? If we have any changes, get them done, and call us back. After everyone's.
Well, could you at least vote tonight on approving these documents? I mean, we don't know that U.S. Bank is going to come back and change anything. And I'd hate to have to come back to a special meeting if there are no changes.
yeah, because the ones you have in front of you right now, they have no lines in them, those have been reviewed. Like I said, most of the revisions from the ones you had in your packet and what you have today have to do with the change in the Lawrenceburg High School building incorporation instead of Lawrenceburg Community School.
So are we going to vote on the one without the lines?
Yeah, there's a resolution. The resolution also had the Community School Corporation. So it is a resolution to enter into agreement with the Lawrenceburg High School Building Corporation.
Leslie, I did want to point out in the escrow agreement, paragraph 3 under disbursements, there are blanks there because the building corporation hasn't actually set up an account yet at U.S. Bank. So that's why those blanks are there, and those would simply be filled in with the account number once that's set up.
That's on page 2, number 3. If council is looking, you'll notice there's two blank lines there.
And then the escrow charges are paid by the building corporation, not by the city. And we don't know what those are from U.S. Bank yet. We've been told that it's $500 annually.
That's the other blanket.
Right.
That's number 5 on number 5.
But that isn't an expense that the city pays, it's one that the building corporation would pay. So it doesn't have an impact on the city. I don't know that they will, but you know, it's a big bank.
I just like to make money.
Actually, sometimes you make more money by not changing things.
And then with this agreement, are we going to do what we've been doing, initial each page?
Do what, I'm sorry?
Initial each page?
On the definitive agreement?
Yeah.
No, because it is something that the mayor signs. There's a resolution that you'll enter into it, but the mayor signs the agreement.
And what about, well, this is, the council's agreeing to adhere to this agreement, correct? And if they don't initial it, what's to say that it can't be changed? It's not initial. Down the road, I mean, it could be 2 years from now.
So your concern is that the building corporation would change a page or?
Building corporation, I'm just that way on every agreement, but why does the bank have the initial every page? So it can't be changed.
I don't know. They haven't required it in this case, so I didn't set it up that way. But I don't care if you want to initial it, it doesn't matter to me.
He wouldn't even be a party to initial it though.
Yeah.
The party to initial would be the mayor. You're going to require initial.
So we don't need to vote on it.
Just vote on that fast.
But on the agreement.
Let's just keep it simple, let's initial all the pages and move forward with this. And I got one question on the resolution, because you never handed us out the new resolution. The only change on that, it would be instead of Lawrenceburg Community Schools, it would be Lawrenceburg High School.
Building Corporation.
Lawrenceburg Building Corporation.
It's
Lawrenceburg High School.
Building Corporation.
High School Building.
And as a corporation, we would not have any interlocal agreement, so that first whereas would be struck. That's the only change. Just changing the high school building corporation throughout.
First whereas stricken.
Yes.
And the title again, Lawrenceburg
High School Building Corporation.
I have faith in U.S. Bank attorneys. I have faith in Lisa.
If you vote to approve these, this is what's approved, it's not changing laws.
That's nobody vote on it.
Yeah. And if that happens, get the agreement to her in, she forwards everyone in. And everyone agrees.
And this is the normal, you know, when a bank looks at a contract, they're always going to revise it to make sure everything's done the way it should be done correctly. So it's just too bad we didn't get it Friday instead of today.
Well, the bank didn't get comments until today, so I think that's probably why. They went through a series of reviews.
So can we initial the escrow agreement and the definitive agreement and have the mayor sign off?
That's fine. I mean, it would be something that, you have to, oh, you would just,
On that. Just make sure, because we, cool if they're gonna be in this one, do the strike, change.
That'd be fun. There's just not a lot of room in the escrow agreement.
So we know what's gonna be there.
Do you have,
Or do we just change it? Leslie, Carl just pointed out a typo on attachment A, page 7 of the escrow agreement.
Page 7.
Yes, it's the attachment A.
It's 2.4, it's the disbursement process.
Right here.
Page 7. It's a small little blurb at the top of page 7.
Oh, the escrow agreement, I don't have the page 7 on my end. Yes,
I thought you said attachment A.
Attachment A, page 7, within the,
we don't have attachment.
I got the
Attachment B.
attachment, I got the attachment A, keep flipping back, go the other way. Here, the other.
it's towards the front. It would be towards the front. Page 7, starting from the very beginning.
There it is.
There's a rough,
My page 7 would be, which don't have a number, would be attachment B.
Yeah, that's,
Page 6.
There you go. That's on your page.
there's a reference to United Community. And that used to be US Bank. The building corporation's gonna have an account, not just receiving for this business, but with US Bank.
It'll be easier so the accounts are in the same bank, so where the escrow account is, and then the building corporation opens the account in the same bank, it'll be a lot easier.
is this a correction to the agreement?
Yes.
Thank you.
And we're dealing with US Bank Lawrenceburg.
Yes, the physical location, but the trust department of U.S. Bank in Indianapolis will be serving as trustee on the bond issuance, and they will be involved in the escrow.
Will money be sitting in this bank up?
I don't know. I don't know.
We'd like that.
I guarantee they ain't gonna sit $4 million in that bank.
In terms of the notices for U.S. Bank, we have the Lawrenceburg location included in the documents, but in terms of where the money will actually be processed, I don't know.
Motion to read it? Second? All in favor?
Resolution regarding the entering into agreement with the Lawrenceburg High School Building Corporation. Whereas the city of Lawrenceburg desires to grant $4 million for revenue to the Lawrenceburg High School Building Corporation for renovation and improvements to the Lawrenceburg High School, specifically the replacement of the George Bud Bateman Gymnasium and other site improvements hereinafter gym project. And whereas the city of Lawrenceburg wishes to enter into an agreement with the Lawrenceburg High School Building Corporation for said project. Now therefore be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Lawrenceburg, Durham County, Indiana, that the City of Lawrenceburg wishes to enter into an agreement with the Lawrenceburg High School Building Corporation for said project. Passed by the Common Council of the City of Lawrenceburg, Durham County, Indiana on this third day of March 2014.
Entertain a motion? Second? All in favor? All against?
And what resolution number is that, Leslie?
It should be 6.
And I will get paid copies to you all.
Thank you.
Are you
Thank
gonna
you.
pass the paper so we can initial? We got an original one there.
Do you have an original? Of the agreement?
Just a blank copy.
I mean, we can just use my copy if that's.
Yeah, it's the same as what you have.
Okay. You guys want to just use my copies?
Did you make that correction then also on that page? Okay.
Maybe you should sign it, just a couple.
And that resolution was for
Okay, we'll sign, we'll just move on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Lawrenceburg, County Road.
Yes, I was contacted by a member of county council. They have a loan with the city of Lawrenceburg that I believe has about 7 more years on it.
the radio loan.
Yeah, I think it started out at 468 maybe. And I just took a picture of the document, can't read it exactly, but it looks like they owe about $251,916. And they have a payment coming up, and they have a meeting, I believe, on the 11th
What's it for?
from the radios.
Those payments are due like January or February.
Well, I think they're having a meeting the 11th to approve the payment to be made. And they asked if possibly, which I know they pay like $11,000 roughly a year in interest, if they were to pay it off in a one lump sum right after the 11th, if the board would consider a small forgiveness in order to have it paid off right now versus payments over a 7-year period.
Just a small forgiveness.
Well, that's for the board, I mean, it's
I thought
been
they- I thought
said to me, I think about 30,000 resumes and.
I thought maybe they suggested something. That's
Which
why I
there is
asked.
somebody from county council here that can come up and speak on it. I said I'd bring it up. My one thing is always remember, 7 years from now, will there be money to pay? So always keep that in mind.
Well, Dan Lansing, County Council, what Mike said is true. We do have a meeting next Tuesday, and we would like to just pay it off. And they were wondering if we were to pay it off, if you would forgive any of it, and that would be totally up to you. I've sat in your chairs, I know it's tough, so we're just asking before we act on it. The meeting is next week. Or we can keep making the payments the way we're doing it. But he was right, it was $444,000, and we're down to about $250,000. And it looks like we've paid about 60-some thousand in interest so far.
Isn't there like 7 years left on?
Yeah, it should be 2024, it should be paid off. And the bill, Jackie, you were right, we did get the bill, and we had a meeting in February, and they were gonna write your payment, but they said, hey, let's see if you can go to the meeting and if we wanna write it off.
No problem, because I was thinking, those are usually the early part of the year, although they were late, I was late getting them out.
And the payment is $34,745.
Forgiveness are you asking for?
That would be totally up to you, Jane. They threw,
Figure how much interest you would pay over that 7 years?
over the rest of the time, it's a lot less than the most I was at the beginning. I got it here if you want to look at it.
Give them an idea. Thanks.
Oh, okay.
I got a question for you while she's reviewing that. Is the county going to come up with more money to get the county project together with the cities and towns for economic development? Do they have the money to?
I'm sure we'll get, we'll be, I don't know how much is everybody pitching in?
remember what the county's.
Lawrenceburg done roughly about
270.
235,
Because the total was more than what they expected that night, wasn't it?
Gave less than the county expected us to give. I think we gave like 270,000. If I'm wrong, correct me.
You're right.
And I think they were stuck in like 300 and some thousand from, 400,000 from.
I was saying the price of the project is more than what they said during the meeting. Didn't it come up more?
They still, I don't think, had a total exact price, but I think at the meeting, they talked about 500,000, and I think they was talking like 600 and 625 or something.
But I'm pretty sure, I'm sure that all of us will, I don't know what amount, but I know we'll come up with it. Yeah, they were all in agreement that it's a good investment.
Looks like about $20,000 you could still, give or take,
On the
give or
interest.
take, add out for the next 7.
Board want to?
I would make a motion that if they would pay it off in full within the next 30 days, the city forgive the $25,000 and then pay the remainder within 30 days.
Got a motion, a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against?
So, thanks. I'll bring it.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I have the numbers right.
I do have one other thing on the school agreement. It does say 7 days to deposit the money. The appropriations are going to be done on the $4 million has already been appropriated, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So as far as any kind of loan appropriations, that still has to be done?
That has to be done, yeah.
Is that something that is going to be for the next meeting?
The next meeting, yeah.
Okay.
But I evidently screwed up terribly. I thought the loan was 8.9 million, and it's 8.99. So none. I'll have to fix my appropriation, not for the next meeting, but I'll have to do that extra part.
Which is $9,000.
Yeah, or else
No.
fine.
90,000.
90,000, right,
Yeah.
8.99.
Or fine 90,000 somewhere in the budget. I'll take care of it though.
But we can do,
Does that mean we're gonna have a loan meeting before the next council meeting?
for the 17th?
We have to see when they can come down. Right? No? Yes?
I'm just trying to give you some kind of timeline, because obviously the appropriation,
We have-
is
we
not
have-
something
we have
that they've
bids.
already done, so.
They'll be opening bids.
13.
Yeah.
So how does that?
But we still have some time from there.
Okay.
That's just when they're opening, and then we'll have to award them after that. So there's still
So
some.
as long as our revolving loan fund has a meeting this month, we should be good.
We should be able to,
Okay.
yes.
I'll email Dan first thing in the morning and see when he can come down.
Okay, moving on. Old business, seeing none. Comments from the audience?
You can't skip over old business.
Maybe you don't stick here.
I got something under old business. We did the first reading of the ordinance 2 weeks ago, I think it was 2 weeks ago, for $2,500 for the mayor's assistant redevelopment director salary. So we have to do the other two.
Okay, we did it first, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
We're good. All the $60 a day? Yeah. All the $60, you're gonna have to find some.
I can find $60. I found worse amounts than that. Okay, motion to suspend the rules and read the ordinance 1 for the second time.
Motion to suspend the rules would be ordinance number 1
1, yeah.
for the second time. Second? All in favor? All against?
Ordinance number 1, 2014, an additional appropriation ordinance out of the Riverboat Fund for Mayor's Assistant Redevelopment Director, $2,500.
Motion to suspend the rules, being ordinance number 1 by title only.
For the second reading.
Second approved, second reading.
Yeah, well, that's what you need a second now. Okay.
Motion approved, ordinance number 1 for second reading by title only.
Chair, I made the motion, you need a second.
Second. All in favor? All against? Okay. Motion to suspend the rules, ordinance
We
number...
had a roll call. Jane?
No.
Aaron?
Yes.
Okay. Bill? Yes. Mike?
No.
JR?
Yes.
Yes, okay, yeses have it. Then you have to suspend the rules.
Okay. Motion to suspend the rules, ordinance number 1 for title only for third and final reading. Second? All in favor? Against?
Okay, it's an additional appropriation ordinance, Lawrenceburg Fund, ordinance number 1, 2014. It's for the mayor's assistant redevelopment director, $2,500.
Motion approved, ordinance number 1, third and final reading. Second? All in favor? All against?
Aye.
Roll call, please.
Jane?
No.
Aaron?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Mike?
No.
And JR?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I just have to get the...
Comments from the audience?
Sorry.
Anyone want to comment? Review and discuss claims for approval.
I got a question about two.
Right there. Go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
There's Fall Fest claims in here. Is the Fall Fest being moved this year to the fairgrounds? Okay. It will.
Aaron, one of those was to Murray Rides, and the other was Danny Davis Pro Video.
Yeah, I heard it's being moved to the fairgrounds, but we put $50,000 in concrete changes over there last year, so I didn't know why we did that. but-
Committee decided to move.
Okay.
Can we pull those two claims out and pay the rest of them on one vote and take a vote on those two claims? Rather than hold up all claims?
We can just make a motion to proceed with claims, except what's the number on those two claims you found? Pay all claims and invoices at $792 and $854. I make a motion to pay all claims and invoices at $792 and $854.
I'll second.
Because they moved it to the fairgrounds.
It's no longer money they're renovating this there last year. It's $50,000 then.
The public doesn't want a Lawrenceburg Fall Fest at the fairgrounds. The public wants Lawrenceburg Fall Fest in downtown Lawrenceburg.
They use it from uptown, and they move down there.
It's still town though, Bill.
I'm just saying.
The motion, is there a second?
Mike seconded it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Roll call, please.
Okay. Jane?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Bill? Mike?
Yes.
JR?
No.
Okay, the yeses have it.
So those claims to those two different entities are not to be paid, Jackie.
Okay.
So, are we not having Fall Fest?
Well, we can work together, Mayor. We can get it back downtown.
Committee decided to move.
Well, that's just it. Who's
We got a lot of
the
nice people downtown, didn't want down there, too.
I just listened earlier tonight that we want to foot traffic, now it took the Fall Fest away, so there goes the foot traffic.
We got a lot of people told they didn't want it down there, couldn't open their shops, too.
We gotta decide if they want foot traffic or they don't.
It's up to them. Motion adjourned. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
It's not. Take a position there. Well, we don't have a position.
Yeah, if you were actually trying to get Carl and I to spend some money.
I'll just wear a t-shirt, it's gonna be about 3 days.
Yeah, what I would do.
I could ride too, I'll just wear a t-shirt, and it's gonna be about 3 days.
City.